Welcome back to Watching the Throne on the Late Night Chat Network, episode 52. Forgot to lower it there for a second. I was like, we're going to listen to the whole song by the time this is through.
No, dude, I don't even listen
I,
to it on the show anymore, man. I just skip through
yeah,
it because
I really got into it there. No.
I hear it so much
Uh,
on here.
oh, the fuck am I doing here? Oh, there we go. All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Watching the Throne, of course, on the Late Night Chat Network. I'm your host, Nico. And actually, I should put out my Maester stats. I forgot to put that up on the last episode, I just noticed. And, of course, we got JT, Sarah JT here in the house. What's going on, Jay?
Yeah, I was wondering where your name was last episode. I thought something was different, but I thought maybe it was just a new setup and whatever. So I was like, all right, maybe he's seen it, and I like you're looking right at it, so I'm going, oh, but I know your eyes are going through the whole screen. What's going on there? I
That's
know he's still.
right. I got all kinds of stuff going on here today with this new setup. So yeah, no, very interesting stuff. So but yeah, welcome back everybody. This was a great episode of watching of Game of Thrones, and gonna be a good episode of Watching the Throne because we're gonna get JT's reaction with this one. Honestly, this is gonna be very interesting. Because guys, big stuff happens in this episode, and of course, we're talking about the episode "Home" from Game of Thrones, season 6, episode 2. Jay, when did this air originally?
It actually aired May 1st. Sorry, 2016 was the release date originally. So
Okay, very.
we're quite a few years ahead now. We're almost fucking 10 years ahead. That's pretty crazy if you think
Mhm.
about it. So that's pretty neat,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
interesting.
I mean, to think that it was only several years ago now, though. That is very interesting. And
Too bad
then
we
I
could have
guess we.
released them on the same day and month. If we would have thought of that in the beginning, it would have been like, oh yeah, we could release it and see if we worked it out
I,
perfectly. It would work
I
every
mean,
week.
again, I have to remind you that as we're coming up on our 5 year anniversary, or I guess by the time this airs, it probably will have been our 5 year anniversary of Late Night Chat Network and doing this. We did have Christina on as a guest with the notorious only lost episode in all of our time doing this. Like, completely lost the audio to that one because it was just a podcast and not a video at that time. And she came on twice to discuss it because we had lost the original audio. But Christina came on and expressed her feelings on the actual finale of Game of Thrones in that episode. And guys, we had already talked about going back to listen to that to kind of see after the fact where our kind of opinions have changed as a result of us doing this show now. So that'll be very interesting. And of course,
And where
Jay at the
mine
time
lies.
didn't have any opinion because he had never seen the show at that time, right? So even 5 years ago, it was within reach the end of this show. And I mean, by the time the new season of House of the Dragon will have come out, it will have been 2 years since that aired. So we only actually really went 3 years without any Game of Thrones shows, which I thought felt like a lot longer, which is really weird. But I guess that's kind of what the pandemic did in a sense too, for everyone there for a couple of years, right? So
Well,
it kind
I'd like to know.
of
I
yeah.
I'd like to know what you guys said. I'd like to know what I made jokes about because that's probably what I did was make a lot of jokes about the show in at that time frame about what you guys were talking about. So, because I mean, I didn't know what was going on to be honest with you. So, I mean,
Right.
it only makes sense that I probably teased about it, right? So we'll see if what my comments were and see how I have different ones this time. Well,
Yeah,
obviously
that
you didn't
will be.
watch
Yeah, exactly. It will be very interesting to hear what you have to say. I'm just interested to hear like because I feel like I was a lot easier on the finale than I think a lot of other folks were, including our guest Christina, who has since joined us for a bunch of these episodes of Watching the Thrones, guys. So make sure and go back and check out her appearances in the playlist, and hopefully she'll be able to join us again towards the end of our run on season 7 and 8, because I know she was interested to join us in those seasons, especially she had mentioned previously, because she's recently revisited it, and even she, I think, thinks differently about certain aspects of the show now that she's had time away from the finale. You know what I mean? Because sometimes when you revisit stuff, sometimes it gets worse. Other times you're like, because you're a bit more far removed, you had time to think about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You weren't like really, the expectations weren't as high anymore because the show was already over. Because again, there is people. You know, there is a petition going around that they remake the season finale, like the whole last seasons of the show, Jay, like that, and it's got hundreds and thousands of signatures. Last I checked, I believe. So there was a lot of people upset. Now I'm not trying to get you down on that, because it wasn't everybody. Like, I just think that. I think that, again, the stakes were so high and the wait was so long, you're going to approach it very differently, in the sense that you can watch it within the next month or two. You can watch the finale. You know what I mean? We had to wait years, right? So it's like, you know, yeah. So it's a little different, I think. I think a lot of people's expectations were very high in that sense. But anyways, we'll get to that when we get to that, guys. But yeah, we're talking about this episode today. Jay, overall thoughts, though, because, yeah, this was a crazy fucking episode.
Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, there's some people we haven't seen for a while. There's a lot of interesting aspects going on, and some crazy reveals in this one. You know, stuff that's gonna make your fucking eyes turn it right at the end. So, I mean, literally. So, I say let's see what's going on, because there's stuff they're taught. Yeah, there's people we haven't seen in a little bit. We're getting visits from that, like in this one, so that should be interesting. We're getting almost like back views of people's lives, and it's a little bit different, so I like to see where this goes, and I'm still waiting for them to see what, if they're gonna bring Davos's mutton.
Davos's mutton. Yeah.
Well, I'm waiting, right? Because they said they didn't finish that scene, right? They just left it like that, right? They gave him some nighttime.
That's obviously the big thing that happens in this episode, whether or not he gets his mutton. But yeah, no, we'll get to it when we get to it. There are some big Jon Snow developments here in this episode, and I thought this was a great one, man. This was a really
good lying dead person, bro. I'll tell you that much.
This was a really, really good episode, honestly. Like, I'm so excited to continue throughout this season. And the thing I was teasing, Jay, that I hadn't told you up till now, we'll get into as well. There is legitimately, I think, about 2 scenes in this episode that I had no recollection of, which I feel is like the first time that's happened to me while rewatching this show with Jay. Because, guys, this is the first time I've rewatched the show. Jay, of course, has never watched it before, so it's nice to get our different reactions about things on the show. But I feel like everything else, although I may have not remembered what happens next, when it has happened, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right, that happens, and then this other thing happens. There was a couple of things I had completely, I feel like, forgotten about in this season, or sorry, in this episode specifically that happened. So it actually came as a legitimate surprise to me for the first time. So that was kind of fun, too. But we'll get into it. I'll point out which ones those were, so... anyways,
no, because I mean, like you said, there was. I remember you mentioning this to me the other day, so I'd like to see which ones they were too, and let's see, man.
Yeah. So the first scene, it opens up finally with Bran Stark, who's gone missing for an entire fucking season and an episode. Wasn't even in the premiere of the last episode here of season 6. So he's been gone for about 11.
I kind of kept my eye open for him in the opener of the season, just because we haven't seen him, right?
He wasn't in it. 11 episodes it has taken him to come back. It's been 11 episodes since last time we saw Bran at the end of season 4. Yeah. So, I mean, that's probably maybe why they also want him to age up, possibly. Who knows, right? But anyways, he continues his training under the three-eyed raven at the tree. He is shown a scene from Winterfell watching his father and Uncle Benjen training in the yard as young boys. He also sees his aunt Lyanna and old Nan and Sir Roderick Castle. He also sees a stable boy that he realizes is a young Hodor, and is surprised that in his youth, where I
This
pulled
is a
these
shit,
notes from.
bro.
Where I pulled these notes from on the internet, they use the word lackwit here. But let's just say he was, he was a little feeble-minded, let's say, right? I mean, they use another word for it, which I guess isn't very PC these days. But
I mean,
anyways, like,
he couldn't be worse than he is now. I mean, but like he actually had a name too. I didn't know that was his name.
yeah. But he was intellectually normal, it says here, and could talk. And his real name is actually Willis or not Willis.
Willis.
Hey, wait, yeah, what,
Willis. What you
what
talking
do you
about,
say?
Willis?
Yeah, I was waiting for
But he
it.
doesn't talk about nothing. All he says is Hodor now. So he
Is it
can't.
pronounced? Did they say Willis? Because when I read it, I'm like, yeah, it
Yeah,
can't be Willis. What kind of fucking name is that? But this is
no, it
Game of
was
Thrones. Who
Willis.
knows? Willis. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Though Bran wants to stay. That's why for a second there, I'm like, is it actually Willis? That's
because
why
I
I
was
was like,
paying
maybe it's
attention to
pronounced
this.
different.
This was like kind of cool, man. This was like a
Yeah.
different scene because you seen a young Ned Stark, man. Like
I mean, technically, in a way, even though this is a vision, this is technically the second flashback we've ever gotten on the show, if you think about it.
yeah,
Right?
but I
In a
mean,
way.
but I mean, it's just like they use Ned's name, right? So it was kind of like a trip because you're not really here. You're just you're hearing it when they talk about his death, but him fighting as a boy, right? Take it easy on him, Ned, right? Like kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was kind of neat, man, to see that. And then
Yeah.
Hodor's mom, man, that fucking
Yeah.
she
Though,
was a little bit weird, eh?
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So where we at? Where'd you finish with that part? Yeah.
Though Bran wants to stay, he is dragged out of the vision by the three-eyed raven, who warns him that it is dangerous to stay too long in such visions. Outside the tree, Bran finds Mira Reed, who still appears to be in mourning over her brother's death. He died at the end of the end of season 4. Though Mira questions the point of her presence during Bran's training, Leaf states that Bran will need her when he leaves the tree. So yeah, Bran's off doing his whole vision quest shit right now in this moment in time, right? So it's it's been a while since we've seen him, but there you have it.
Did they say that guy's name that's in the tree? That's part of the tree there, or part of the one that's there, and that he was connected there, and it told him that. What did they say? What his name was? That told him. Do you remember or no? Because I don't remember.
The guy in the tree.
Yeah, the guy with all the roots around him. Well,
That's the three-eyed raven. That's the guy.
Yeah, that's him, right?
Yeah. That's the one who basically he knew he had to get there because he's gonna help him hone his power essentially, right? Yeah. So that's that was the whole point of the journey last time we saw him, was to get to the three-eyed raven, because he kept appearing in his visions as the three-eyed raven, and then he found out it's actually this fucking dude in the tree or whatever. So it's some weird out there shit going on with Bran.
Yeah, it's like he's part of the tree though. It's almost like it tripped me out, man. It's just sees them wrapped up like that. Like I don't know, it's just that they come be part of it or what, like So
this next scene here at Castle Black, nightfall has arrived, and the band of Black brothers loyal to Jon have not yet surrendered. Davos is still asking for the mud in there, and he refuses a final ultimatum from Sir Alistair Thorne. He's still delaying things here by drawing Longclaw.
It's 2 years, bro.
By drawing Longclaw while the others draw their swords. The acting Lord Commander orders the door to be battered down with a sledgehammer. So yeah, he's got Jon's sword here, and he even warns the other Night Watchman. He's like, I'm not much of a fighter, but we're about to do this. I can do his voice, but he's just like, I'll let you men know I'm not much of a fighter, but let's do this, right? They're all getting ready because Alistair Thorne's had enough now. He's like, listen, I've given you your mud in. You're still here.
He's actually giving him time. I couldn't believe
I
it.
know.
Like they actually given him time.
Yeah.
It's probably due to respect to Davos, I would think.
Probably. Yeah. While the others draw their swords, the acting Lord Commander orders the door to be battered down with a sledgehammer before the mutineers can break in. However, Ed returns with Tormund and an army of wildlings. This is a fucking awesome scene here. Okay, here we go. I'm sure Jay loved this. I can't wait. I know you love this scene. Though Thorne demands that the Watchmen stand and fight, only one of them is stupid enough to try it and is almost immediately cut down by Tormund, enabling an almost bloodless takeover. One archer foolishly loses a crossbow bolt into 1-1's back. 1-1 is the big giant, okay, which only results in the angry giant seizing him from his perch and dashing him against the stone wall before throwing the mangled body at Thorn's feet. And they basically give up instantly. It's just like, all right, like this, they got a giant.
Bang, bang, and they fuck that. Yeah, but that was great.
It was like
graphics.
The Hulk, bro.
Yeah.
It was like the Hulk in Avengers when he fucking smashes Buddy around. You're like, yeah, it's the same thing, man.
Yeah,
It's the
blood to watch the blood drag with him, like as he throw him and tosses him on the floor and all that. Holy fucking crazy!
I just love the look on their face. You're like, nope, I'm out. Like, because listen, the Watchmen, the Night's Watchmen, after all the beatings they've taken over the last couple of seasons, they're not a small group right now, right? There's no way that they were about to take on a fucking giant. Get out of here, right? Maybe before the first time they fought the Wildlings, where they got a lot of people killed, maybe, right? They were able to fend them off that time, but not this time. No. So yeah, they gave up. They gave up automatically there. The Watchmen, seeing this, quickly throw down their arms and surrender. Thorn tries to attack, while Ollie angrily rushes Tormund with a sword. This fucking kid, man. I hate this kid. You're right. But Thorn, he does. But Thorn is seized, and Tormund easily disarms Ollie and pushes him into waiting arms. No wildlings are hurt in this attack. Fucking right. The Wildlings to the rescue, right? It paid off for him, John, that he actually helped these guys out. And I'll tell you now, since it's I guess pretty evident by the end of this episode, Tormund's going to be sticking around. That guy is an awesome fucking character, because up to this point they don't really use Tormund all that much because like he's the opposition. But now Tormund is, boys with Jon as a result of everything that's went down, and he's a great character. You're gonna really like his. Like he actually starts to get like a lot more scenes and lines and stuff like that moving forward in this
Tormund,
season.
Is that his last name? Is that what why they
That's
call
his
him
first name. That's his first name. That's the big redheaded guy. And I mean, he's been in a lot of things after Game of Thrones. There's other things I'm sure maybe you've seen him in. But he's really cool, that guy. If you see that guy, he's just like a straight up like big husky like barbarian type guy. Like I've seen him in other shit too. Like he's a funny guy, man. That guy, Tormund guy, and yeah, I can't wait for you to see some of the shit that he said. Like he's kind of like Braun, like in the way that he kind of is, I'll say. Like he's kind of like a Braun type of character, where he's kind of like, he makes quick-witted remarks, and he's kind of like, you know what I mean, he's in it for the women and this kind of shit, right? So I like him a lot. He's a good character. But anyways, next scene.
They're at the pub.
Yeah. In King's Landing, in a tavern, a man drunkenly boasts of having taunted Cersei during her walk of atonement, to the great amusement of the other patrons. After he finishes his story, he leaves the tavern to urinate against a wall outside. As he is urinating, he is confronted by the Mountain there, Sir Gregor Clegane, who kills him by smashing his head against the wall. Sir Gregor then returns to Cersei's side, the fucking Frankenstein's monster that he is right now. Jesus Christ.
Boom. Yeah. And the guy just drops. That was fucking awesome, man. Imagine doing that just with one hand. I would just, bro, that would just be, you know what? Stay away from me now, bro. Boom. One shot. The guy just crumples to the ground. It was fucking awesome, man. Poor guy. He died holding his weenie. Because he turned around. He turned around peeing still, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And that's when he got his head smashed right against the wall, man. That was crazy, man. That was fucking nuts. Right. Yeah. But yeah, man. And that whole story that he was talking about Cersei about, whipping it out, and she's only had her brothers to compare it to, and oh my God.
So this dying. I mean, as she pointed out at the end of last season after her atonement, is that her and this fucking beast that she has now are going to seek revenge on a lot of people who fucking did wrong by them. I think this was a little taste of that, to be honest with you. So yeah, very, very interesting what's going on here. This guy's like, this guy's undead, right? Like he's fucking dead in that armor. Like he's a walking dead. I still think
the giant could come and just bang one fucking hammer like this downwards and done. Still, even though, you know what I mean? He might come back
Yeah.
to life after. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know how I thought of
Uh,
that.
so this next scene here, Myrcella's funeral is held at the Great Sept of Baelor, but Cersei cannot attend.
It's just fucked.
To-
Right?
Tolman has ordered that Cersei be confined to the Red Keep since he is concerned that the Faith Militant will rearrest her if she steps inside the Sept. Yeah, this was I mean, I understand where he's coming from, but that's kind of fucked up that you can't attend your own daughter's funeral. Like that's pretty brutal. Like the fact that she got stopped by the men obviously following the orders of the king. And after he kind
They
of
were
like
scared
has
too, right? Because the
I
mountain
mean,
was
he has
beside them. Hurt.
right. Like I get his intention, but like I mean, yeah, I'm surprised those guys stood up to him. Like they weren't gonna they were scared. But like I would have gotten right out of that fucking guy's way. I'd be like, oh like I'm just move aside. Like, see you
Especially after
later.
we just seen him smash somebody's head against the wall, bro. Like it was
Well, I
nothing.
mean, no one else saw that though, right? But
No, I
like,
know, but
yeah,
they were still
yeah,
scared.
we saw that as viewers, but yeah, no,
Holy
that
fuck.
was crazy. I know. I mean, the fact that Cersei actually, about like she kind of gave in. I'm very surprised. I'm very surprised because she could have made bloodshed right there and then, but obviously because of everything that's happened to her, I think she's being a little bit more cautious now as a result, right? You know what I mean? Like that could end her up back into the
Into
religious
jail.
people. Yeah, exactly. So in the Sept, Jamie and Tommen talk about Myrcella and Prince Trystane. Tommen believes that Cersei is to blame for Prince Trystane's death, which he's right, but tells Jamie that he isn't upset with
Smart.
her. Jamie, yeah, absolutely,
Smart
very
Basil
bright.
was. Yeah.
Yeah, very bright kid though, but yeah, absolutely. But that's another thing that Game of Thrones does, Jay. I think they do it quite well. They show you different types of leaders. Like there's different people that all have their faults in a sense, right? Like this one's doesn't really have like he's not a fighter, but he's very smart. You know what I mean? But then you have other people that are smart, and again, if they're not a fighter, then that's a major fault because they won't actually stick up for their people. It's like the situation with the Doran thing where he got criticized for being the way that he is, right? So there's all kinds of different leaders and rulers, and they all kind of approach
Yeah.
it differently, right? So it's interesting to see, right?
I always wondered if Westeros was just part of a bigger world that was out there. Like I always wondered if they were just certain people, like in a country. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
and if you want to look at it that aspect, and then there was more people around the world. So I was wondering if there was like that kind of thing where they don't even know the people that are on the other side of the fucking planet. To be honest with you,
Right.
I mean, they still have a sun that rises and falls. So as much fanny fairy tale as you want it to be, it's still some sort of planet that they're on, right? So
Right.
I just wonder if there is like something like that, right? And this is just like a huge country, trying to make their because the way they kind of lead on, like you said, different leaders of different areas, it is kind of like back in those Roman days in a sense, right? But
Mm-hmm.
more like obviously fantasy, right? So
Mm-hmm. And even if you recall, his grandfather there, Tywin tried to give him advice, Tommen, when he about different types of leaders when he was becoming king. Remember that? He was testing him. He was like, "What did this king do wrong? What did this king do wrong?" Like he was telling them different stories about different kings that came before him, and Tommen was able to identify where they went wrong, each one of them,
sorry.
right?
Yeah,
But then obviously he doesn't really have the backbone to kind of have done anything about his wife and his mother prior to this. But then he actually intervenes in this situation. I get why he was afraid for his mother, and he could actually maybe do something now. But at the same time, he stopped her from going to her daughter's funeral. So kind of shitty.
it's kind of
Yeah. Anyways, Jamie convinces Tommen to go see his mother and apologize to her as the High Sparrow enters the set because Tommen hadn't gone to visit her in the Red Keep since she's been there. After Tommen leaves, Jamie begins threatening the High Sparrow and asks him why Cersei is being punished for her sins, but he isn't. Considering he murdered the king he vowed to protect. As Jamie is about to kill the High Sparrow seems to be unafraid to die, which confuses Jamie. The High Sparrow explains that if Jamie chooses to kill him, that many of the sparrows will die fighting him, but it wouldn't really matter since they have no names or individual power. He says that they mean nothing individually, but together they can overthrow an empire. Very interesting, this guy's tactics, right? I mean, he's true. He's true in what he's saying, I feel like, but
yeah.
I think it's kind of it speaks. It's very interesting. I think speaks to his character how Jamie called him out on that. He's like, listen, I've done all kinds of fucked up shit. You're gonna stand to me? Like Jamie's not fucking around. He's like, you try to fucking do shit to me, I'll kill you. Like you know what I mean? Like he's like, nah, it's not gonna slide with me. You can put my sister in there, but you're not gonna fucking do anything to me. Like you know, he grabbed his sword. He's like, I'll kill you. Right? I kind of liked how he stood to him. Right? He's like, enough of this bullshit.
But those guys came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah. When he said that, they came from the fucking door. All those guys. Yeah, those guys
you
are
second
crazy.
guess everything, right? Like it made you second
Yeah,
guess everything, right? So
yeah.
it's like
Crazy religious people are crazy. You gotta watch out for those people. Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like
extremists. Yeah,
yeah,
bro. The church is the biggest gang in town. Think about it.
yeah. In any
Yeah.
even in fantasy.
Yeah. Tommen visits Cersei in the Red Keep in this next scene and apologizes for not being more assertive during her imprisonment. He regrets letting the High Sparrow lock her away and says that he should have torn the sept down with the High Sparrow inside of it. He tells her that he needs her help in being a strong ruler. Cersei remains uncharacteristically silent throughout the exchange, but then when Tommen is done speaking, she embraces him. What do you think of that? It's true. Cersei wasn't really acting herself in this moment, right? What do you think? What do you think? Do you think the gears are turning up there, or what does she got planned here? Or is she actually taking is she afraid for Tommen now?
Yeah, I think she wants to keep him even more safe. It's weird, man, because now she's already lost 2 right out of the 3 that
And
the switch lady.
that's right. That's right.
So,
I think you're right. I think you hit on it. I think she's afraid now.
And she's got short hair, so it's really throwing me off. So, since when they cut it all off, so I feel like when she lost her hair, she went to the jail thing and it was drinking off the fucking ground for fuck's sakes. I think
it was humbling.
Yeah, she kind of I don't know. For a guy, I would say gruesome. Emotion. Well, she kind of grew a heart, I think, in a sense, like that. Maybe she has to think twice before she reacts or something. Maybe she realizes she's just crazy, and she needs to relax sometimes. And she, I don't know. I don't know where she's found it. I feel like she's really worried for him because of all this other stuff that seems to be coming true, but. I mean, we never know if it's going to come true or not. Like, it's only witchcraft. Who knows, right?
And then in this next scene here,
best line at the start.
Missandei and Grey Worm tell Tyrion and Rhaegal and Viserion. Missandei and Grey Worm tell Tyrion that Rhaegal and Viserion, the other dragons, have not been eating ever since Daenerys left. Tyrion explains that dragons do not do well in captivity and that they will probably start eating again if they are unchained. He also suggests that dragons are intelligent enough to remember their friends and that they will probably not harm Missandei if they meet her again, since she spent so much time with them when they were little. And to your point, in terms of the quotes, and I hope this is the one that you had wrote down here because I got it down here too. And this is one of the most popular quotes actually from the show, Jay, and it's on shirts. I believe Kyle, at least at one point, he had the shirt that says this on it, and I wish I had this shirt. It's a Tyrion line. Well, I know there's the thing about him joking about his balls and everything else. We talked about that last episode about how he makes fun of him because of his height and everything else. But the Tyrion line is like, "How do you know this?" He's like, "That's what I do. I drink and I know things."
Yeah, I know that one. That was the one.
That's the famous line. That's on shirts. Like that was a very marketable line, that one, because I wanted that shirt before. Like I just could never find it. There's a shirt that they had. I think, like I said, I think Kyle had it at one point where it says, "I drink and I know things." I was like, that's awesome. But yeah. But which one did you have?
Tyrion said the thing: if he lost his cock, he drank all the time. Right?
That's right. Yeah.
He's telling that to fucking Varys. He goes, if I lost my cock, I drink all the time, because he's always saying you're drinking. Is that all you do is drink and read the book? Yeah. And yeah. If I he goes, how come you don't? If I lost my cock, I'd be drinking all the time.
Absolutely.
No reading books then.
Yeah. But then this next crazy scene, after he says that, Tyrion and Varys go down below the pyramid with Tyrion advancing into the darkness alone.
Wow.
Very, very brave of him. Very fucking brave and stupid
Good
as
set
well.
of fucking steel balls. Yeah.
Yeah.
The line Varys uses at the end is the best.
Yeah, we'll get to that. One of the dragons emerges from the shadows, and Tyrion maintains eye contact. When the other emerges, he kind of pulls up on him, and he doesn't even notice at first. Tyrion puts down his torch and gently advances. To calm them, Tyrion speaks gently, explaining that some say that dragons are more intelligent than humans. He tells them that when he was little, one of his uncles asked him what he wanted for his name day present, and he asked for a dragon. Not even a large one, just a little one like him. They all laughed. Then Tyrion's father told him dragons were extinct. Tyrion cried himself to sleep that night. He now marvels that he gets to see living ones up close. At this point, Tyrion is finally close enough to release the locking pin on the first dragon's collar. The other comes close, then gingerly turns his head to the side, basically to get him to take his collar off, like kind of get him, hey, come here, take this one off, so Tyrion can free him as well. The dragons retreat, and Tyrion hastily returns to Varys. Tyrion instructs Varys to punch him in the face if he ever suggests doing anything stupid like that again. The look on Varys' face, though, when he comes back up is priceless. He's like, what the fuck? Hey, like the look on Varys' face when he walks back to him. Like,
Yeah.
I,
No, there
I
was,
couldn't believe
you couldn't what the
I
believe
couldn't
it.
believe it. Yeah.
Well, he
That he
used
did
that
this.
story too. That way, I like the way he told the story to kind of distract him that he was taking off the thing. But he was telling Varys before that he about the story about that too. I thought about that when I really paid attention to that because he was talking about when the last dragons had gone extinct,
Mm-hmm.
and because we watched the House of the Dragons, right, and we see them there, right, and compared to the three that are there now, but they were already extinct before these three existed, right. But he was
Mm-hmm.
saying the Targaryens used them to conquer Westeros and ranged over thousands, hundreds of miles, right, like of fucking flying. They never didn't like the captivity, like you were saying, right.
Mm-hmm.
And then Daenerys' ancestors started chaining them up in the pens, right, and
Mm-hmm.
you know then after a few generations that went by, they said the last dragons that were left were no larger than cats. So he probably could have got one that was his size if he
Mm-hmm.
was around back then in the time, right? If because he says like even a little one, he says, right, because they said they were no larger than cats because they kept them in captivity and they didn't eat well and they didn't do their thing, right. So
Yeah, that's kind
I
of the
just
final days of their kingdom kind of coming to an end, right? Like
yeah,
the
they were talking about
Targaryens.
Aegon,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah, it
Yeah,
was it
because
was it was it was pretty cool that they went back because it was just showing you that he does sort of know a lot of things. Because I
he
like to
does.
see how I know there's a difference between the gaps of the show and the other show, right? But I want to see how much of gaps if we start to see the dragons get smaller, right? It's weird.
But even then, like every encounter that Tyrion has had outside of King's Landing so far, he has always known a little bit. Like even when he was with Jorah and they were going into the old Valerian area, remember with the stone men? Like he knew, like he's like, is this old Valeria or whatever? And he's like, yes. Like even though he hasn't been to all these places, he knows a little bit like about the places that he goes to and the history and the
Yeah,
people and he knows a lot like which kingdoms like he knows enough about like the hierarchy of people throughout the land. Like that's I mean he's very well suited to be an advisor or to be like you know what I mean like honestly like advisor. That's I mean that's what he's been doing. That's why Varys and him
yeah,
teaming
work
up.
with people like that. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Like so, like yeah, no, he's very, very smart and he knows a lot. He does know a lot. That's what he says. He's like, I drink and I know things. Like that's my
but
thing, right? Like, yeah.
I thought that was cool that the dragons were only the size of by the time that they were done, the Targaryens with them, they were only the size of the last ones were only the size of cats, which that really
Yeah,
is kind of interesting to me to see how
yeah,
that plays out if that ever
sure.
plays out in the new series, right? So
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of liked that too. Like it would be amazing to someone that heard about dragons all their life to finally see one, right? And that he
oh
could never
yeah,
actually see it, right? So like I get in
you
the
see the
moment is
size difference.
But I get in the moment of how nervous he is. Of course, he's shitting his fucking pants in that scene. He's also amazed being in front of them in that moment, right? Like that's why he's kind of trying to speak softly about it. And he's like, I never dreamed I would see dragons. Like he's like, this is crazy, right? Like even in
Yeah.
the moment with him shitting his fucking pants, he's appreciating the fact that he's like, holy fuck, there's
He's able
dragons
to get
here,
that
right?
close.
Like
Yeah.
yeah. So, anyways, yeah, good scene, good scene. And then we cut back over to Bravos with Arya, who's still struggling,
Fucking girl, bro.
still a beggar on the streets. Arya is again approached by the waif who asks her name. Arya says that she is no one, and then she hits her, and the waif retorts that she doesn't believe that, and neither does Arya. She tries to fight back, but the waif vanishes, replaced with Jaqen H'ghar. He promises that if she says her name, Arya will sleep under a roof that night, that she will eat, and that he will restore her eyes. Each time, however, Arya says that she has no name. Satisfied that she didn't give in to this, he tells Arya to follow him and that she is a beggar no more. So there you go. She passed the test. They continue testing her, right?
What test?
So
I don't even know what test we're getting to. So let's see what goes on. I am still waiting for
that's
the fucking test.
that's the question, my friend. Listen, I drink and I know things. Don't worry. Okay.
Yeah.
Then we over at Winterfell, you got Ramsay and Roose, your boy here. So this is the part. So Jay, I did not remember this scene at all. This is a crazy fucking scene right here. So I didn't actually remember this happening. So this came as a
Right up to this whole
honestly
scene, like right
surprise.
to the dogs.
I didn't know. Yeah, I don't remember any of this. I don't remember any of this. I don't remember any of this part. Yeah, none of it. I don't remember this part.
Wow. That's
Yeah, I
cool,
don't remember
though.
this
Yeah, you
part.
don't, in a
Yeah, I don't
sense,
remember
but
this part. I mean, I know where he goes, Ramsay, after this, but I guess I forgot what steps he had to take to kind of get where he was going after this. But I mean, yeah, he's crazy, this guy. I mean, like you said, you always like the character. To see him kind of continue to do shit is pretty crazy at this point, right? So,
it should have been that
anyways,
fucking episode when it was called we had an episode about that kill the boy or something like that.
yeah. At Winterfell, Ramsay and Roose discuss with Harold Karstark what to do with Sansa and Jon. After Ramsay suggests storming Castle Black, Roose warns Ramsay that attacking the Night's Watch would turn the entire North against House Bolton, adding that if he does not act more sensibly, he will be discarded. Maester Wolkan enters and announces that Roose's wife, Walda, has given birth to a baby boy. There you go, confirming the fact that he can lose favor with his father here. Roose tells Ramsay that he will always be remembered and treated as his firstborn child. But believing that the new son is a threat to his inheritance, Ramsay quickly acts and thanks him for saying so, and then brings him close and stabs his father to death in front of Wolkan. Holy shit, man. Was that a surprise to you when he did this? I
Yeah,
mean,
I didn't think he was gonna kill his dad. I didn't. I honestly, well, I because I didn't hear him actually say that he's not gonna be the king anymore. But because he said he's still the firstborn, but doesn't mean like it didn't really make sense if he was still gonna hold the title of king or whatever.
right. Right. And to your point of saying that, this is why last episode I pointed out the fact, because again, I genuinely didn't remember this. I pointed out the fact that he has been fucking dangling that over his head for the past little while now, and I think he
Yeah.
just got tired of it.
Yeah.
Right? He's just like, fuck you. Like,
And
you're
you
going to
can't
hold this
trust
over
him,
my head.
really.
Exactly. He can continue to play that card whenever he wants. And he got tired of it. He's just like, fuck this. Like, I'm just going to take this into my own hands. And as soon as he stabbed him up, Buddy over there just fell in line. He's just like, yep.
No
He got
problem.
killed by his enemies or whatever the hell he makes up the story, right? He's just like, yeah, you saw that, right? And the other dude's like right with him right away. He's like, yeah, I seen it. Did you? To the other guy, and he's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, I just
I
let
think
him
they
get out of
realize
here,
how
right?
crazy Ramsey is. That's why they're like,
Yeah,
okay, I think he's a little crazier than his old man.
yeah. I mean, he stabbed him right in front of that guy right away. Like, it was crazy. He's just like, yep, I'm doing this. In his position as the new Lord Bolton, Ramsay orders the Maester to announce that Roose was poisoned by their enemies. Then personally feeds Walda and his half-brother to the fucking hounds, bro. He goes and gets his wife and feeds the baby to the hounds.
Both
She's
of
like,
them,
it's
bro.
your brother. The
I mean,
woman
they're
is a
used.
bigger
That's why I
woman.
said they're used to the meat, right? Like now, because they already fed them his what's her name? The last girl from the last episode.
The
He fed them the
baby though,
hounds.
man. The
Oh, bro,
baby.
I didn't think he didn't have him in it, bro. He. That's why. I mean, it said kill a boy. Like the episode. Remember, kill the boy or something. One of the episodes was called. This should have been that too, because this is exactly what he did. And
To
it was the most like kind of thing in a sense because
mm.
I was like, wow, that's when you're that fucking nuts, you're just I don't even know what to even call you, man. And I do a serial killer show with Leslie guys, and I don't even know what to consider that, man. Like I like
Yeah,
that her
uh,
opinion.
he's a sociopath, and he's like a
Narcissist.
masochist. Like he likes seeing people hurt. Yeah,
He's like
I mean,
everything
yeah,
all in one, bro.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
he's like your best friend.
Yeah. Maybe you guys should do a killer content on his actions over there. That should be interesting.
Like he was that he's a
I
great actor too, man.
look. I know you're a fan of the character, right? So I mean, that's really he has been interesting, but I didn't remember this. So yeah, very very cool. Brutal though. Yeah. So in this next scene though, in
Great.
the woods, Brienne fills Sansa in on her encounter with Arya, while Sansa is reluctant to talk about her experience under Ramsay Bolton's tyranny at Winterfell. She admits that she ought to have accepted her help sooner. Theon, racked with guilt over his betrayal of the Stark family, decides to leave the group and go home instead of joining the Night's Watch. He tells Sansa that Brienne and Pod will do a better job of looking after her, though he tearfully states that he would have gone with her all the way to Castle Black if necessary. He asks to take one of the horses with him, and the two embrace. Good luck to you, bro. That's all I'm gonna say. Good luck to Theon once again. He's been through the fucking mill, right? I mean, I hope he finds some peace going back home, but I think based on the events that we see at the end of this episode, there is a possibility that he's welcomed, hopefully better than he was by his father previous to this, right? So we'll
We'd
see what
like to see.
happens.
I when he
Yeah.
said home, I wasn't quite sure right away what he was saying. If he was going back as Reek or if he was going back as Theon.
No, he's Theon again.
Yeah,
He's finally I think
I realized
got
this
out
at
of
the end. Yeah,
yeah. Well, he wouldn't have hugged Sansa the way he did at the end there because
no,
Theon's the one that had a relationship with Sansa, not Reek, right? So like
yeah,
that's why before he couldn't talk to her, right, or look her in the face, but
yeah.
obviously because of the betrayal to her family, but yeah, that's why this episode's called Home. There you go. That's the name of this episode, right? So but here we go again, though. I gotta say, leading into these next scenes over in the Iron Islands, which is Theon's home, I did not remember this shit at all. Like, there's a big like I know I've seen this episode. I just these are just things, I guess I wasn't as interested in because I don't remember
Well,
these things. But these, I
maybe
mean,
it
but we haven't
blended into the other episodes that you didn't realize, and that could
maybe.
have just been it, right?
I do know this character that shows up in this. I remember him. I remember the guy that shows up here. That's part of Theon's family. Like I get that, but anyways, we'll get into it here. In the Iron Islands here, we got at Pike. It is a dark and stormy night. Yara Greyjoy, Theon's sister, there reads a letter to King
Oh,
Balon
you are.
Greyjoy
Okay.
about how the Glovers retook Deepwood Moat and killed all of the Ironborn who held the castle. Yara notes that their invasion is now a definite failure since Deepwood Mott, I don't know, was the last stronghold that the Ironborn held in the north. Balin tells her that they will continue fighting, but Yara argues that invading the north is pointless since they are unable to hold the strongholds they conquer against the mainland armies, and the strongholds in the mainlands aren't really valuable to the Ironborn because they are so far away from the sea. Balin says that one of the reasons that the invasion wasn't successful was because Yara wasted men when she attempted to rescue Theon, which she says she will not apologize for. Yara continue. This guy's dad's a dick, bro. Balin Greyjoy, a fucking asshole. Yara continue. Like Ramsay sent him his son's balls in a fucking box, and he didn't even give a shit. He's just like, well.
What are you gonna do?
Anyway, yeah. Yara continues to try to convince Balin to end the rebellion, saying the only reason they were able to take strongholds in the north in the first place was because the Northerners were in the south fighting a war, and now that war is over. She reminds Balin that the last time that they provoked the mainlanders too far, they were crushed, and their two oldest brothers were killed. Balin tells her that when she rules, she can be content with their current standing, but for now, she needs to obey his commands, or he will make another heir who will. As he ends this fucking conversation with her, what'd you think of this scene, Jay?
It was good, man. It was interesting because I hadn't seen them in a while too, so I didn't know what was going on with them, and that's probably where I should have realized about the Theon that when he said home, because why would they be in it? I was thinking I haven't seen them for a while, so I was like, okay, maybe
Yeah,
but
yeah, because if you remember the
and I
last
couldn't
time that we
remember
see,
that they were the Ironborns. There, forgot, couldn't remember. So
yeah, yeah. Because if you remember the last time we seen Yara, his sister, is when she tried to rescue him, and all she came to rescue was Reek, and he was so fucked up, he couldn't go with her, right? He like fought against her, so she's like, "Fuck this," and she just left, right? She's like, "He's gone." Like when she came back home to tell her father, she's like, "Yeah, I don't know who that was, but that wasn't Theon, and he's a lost cause," you know? She's like, "Yeah, I couldn't help him," but now he's going back, so I don't know. We'll see what happens, right? So,
yes,
uh, big scene here.
very big one.
Balin starts walking on this on a swinging rope bridge as it's like
It's a scary
downpouring. Like,
bridge, bro.
yeah, it is. This is directly after like talking shit to his daughter. There, he leaves and like I guess in the middle of the night, there's the waves are crashing and all the water's all over the place. He's going across this
Hundreds
rickety
of
ass
feet
bridge.
down, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even know
So
how fucking far that is. Holy.
yeah, he's walking across this old ass rope bridge that separates two of the towers of Pike,
Huge
and
castles, yeah.
through the storm, he sees a man standing on the bridge who is blocking his way. He tells the man to get out of the way, but the man reveals himself to be Balin's younger brother, Euron Greyjoy, who comes the fuck out of nowhere. Like I don't even think we've. This is the other scene. I was like, I don't know if I can remember.
Well, he
This.
says, I thought you were dead, right? So I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't even know where he
I
would have died.
I don't think he's ever shown up on the show or been referenced. So this was kind of out of left field. And now, if we've forgotten that somehow, I don't fucking recall at all,
We're
Jay.
gonna
I
have to
mean,
ask one of the super fans out there, man, like to
yeah.
give us, some
Th-
feedback because I'm not
This
sure. I
this
don't know.
maybe this was something they explained in the books and they didn't really address in the show prior to now because the way he kind of showed up, it was like, oh, it's me, your brother, and I'm like, who? Like, who the fuck is this? But I do remember his face. Like, as soon as the guy showed up, the actor, I was like, oh yeah, that guy, and I couldn't remember this scene. I was like, what the
It could have
fuck? So,
also
anyways,
been. It could have also been just to add, like to the time that we haven't seen them. Could have happened
maybe,
in that time, right? Like something that could
maybe.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So he reappears. And yeah, Balin tells him that he's surprised that he's still alive. Euron mocks the drowned god, telling Balin that he is the drowned god. Balin inquires about a rumor that Euron lost his senses during a storm and his crew had to tie him to the mast of the ship to prevent him from jumping overboard. Yeah, I think it's because he was at sea. I think that's why, Jay. I think maybe he thought he was lost at sea or something, and then I guess apparently he just shows up here all of a sudden, right?
Maybe he did leave on one of the boats in the beginning. Who knows, man? Like,
Yeah. Euron doesn't deny the rumor and explains to Balin that he cut the tongues out of all of his crew members because he wanted silence. Euron then says that Balin is too old to rule and that he's been ruling long enough and it's someone else's turn. Balin tells him that he isn't a true Ironborn because he lost his wits during a thunderstorm and tries to stab him. But then he ends up throwing him off the rope bridge to his death, which is the easiest fucking thing he could have done there because he was about to fall over anyways, it seemed like, right? So he's just like, fuck you. Just
you
throw
know
him
what?
off
I'm
the side.
surprised that it was a pretty sturdy bridge for being dangling, like for dangling just like that. Like he threw him off. You'd think that reaction would have caused the bridge to go like this.
Yeah, this is a weird scene. Like even the
Yeah, came out of nowhere.
introduction of this character. Yeah, you're right. We might have to hit up one of the super fans and get them to remind us if we just are forgetting this guy and never show. Because if this guy literally just showed up for the first time right now, it's like some soap opera shit. He's like, "I'm your
Yeah.
long lost brother." Like, you know what I mean? And all
I
of a
mean,
sudden
I'd
he
like to
stakes him
see.
out.
Yeah, they wouldn't have shown you him cutting off people's tongues or whatever. Like, come on. Like, I can't remember that. I don't know, man. It's weird.
I don't think we've ever been introduced to him in the show. In the show, anyways, obviously
Yeah.
there's a history of this character that exists, but I don't think they've ever talked about it on the show prior now. So yeah, let us know, guys, if you know the answer. Hit us up in the comments because
Yeah.
I don't recall this guy at all. It being showing up previous to this. So, but yeah, so it did make it for a general surprise to me. I was like, what the hell? What just happened? Right? So he's dead. And
So he's dead.
yeah.
So he's
And at
dead. Moving on.
At Balin's funeral, Yara tells the priest, Balin's youngest brother, that she will find the person who did this and feed them to the sharks while they're still alive. She swears to do this upon the salt thorn, and Aaron explains to her that she isn't the ruler yet.
I'd like to see
Because
what happens.
hold on, Jay. Because the law says that the king's moot chooses the next ruler. Yara argues that her father wanted her to rule, but Aaron says that he doesn't make the law. So it is up in the air, and Theon is on his way currently back home to find out that his father's dead and that he could possibly become the king.
But he's got no
Whoa.
balls, bro. How's he like?
Not
Can you
not the
become king with
king.
no
Sorry.
balls?
Not the king, the lord of the Ironborn areas
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the what is it? The Isles. What are they called? The Iron
There's only one
Islands.
king, right?
There's only one king. That's right. Yeah. So, wow, crazy though. I mean, I very interesting what's going on with it. I don't remember any of this, so very, very interesting stuff.
I mean, I
But
hope you remember this last scene at least.
of course, of course. Now this is
Yeah.
the scene that
Now,
everyone's been waiting for here. All right, guys. So this is a big deal. Why don't you tell us your thoughts on this, Jay? Or do you want me to say the scene
my
and then you can
thoughts
give
on
us your
this
thoughts?
was Nico
Go ahead.
is good at keeping his mouth shut. I'll be honest
Thank
with
you.
you.
Thank
He's
you.
good at keeping his mouth shut, guys. Anybody that needs to trust somebody, just talk to Nico. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, honestly, I had no fucking idea. I thought something that I could I didn't think it could be over, and then I just thought something was up when they show an old body. I don't know. I couldn't understand it quite, and I didn't get to see it all. But we're gonna get another appearance from Alessandra and Davos and all those guys. So this is where it's gonna really get interesting for everybody, and I was shocked, bro. I had to go into the next episode just to make 100% sure, dude. Like literally
Yeah, he's
100%
alive.
sure, bro.
See, but that's and thank you for saying that. But I did have to bite my tongue on that. But that's what actually made it so amusing to me
But
is
it's
that when
almost like
that
it comes naturally to you, bro, to just not say it. That's what I mean. Like it's not that you were hiding it on purpose. You just didn't.
no.
It's natural for you. If somebody says something to you and you say not to say anything, you just don't. That's the
Yeah.
type of person you are.
Sure, but I also think like it was fun because in the sense that like obviously I didn't want to ruin it for you, but knowing that someone had spoiled the fact that he indeed died to you, it was funny to me because he wasn't lying when he said he did die, and you were kind of upset because this whole time you were kind of expecting it, half expecting it, and then when it finally did happen, you were upset in the moment. But that's why even in my head when we talked about that episode with Leslie on at the finale of season 5, I'm just like, and I kept urging you to continue watching if you recall. And since we've recorded that episode, this is a couple weeks later, guys. It's taken us a while to at least get together to record these ones finally. But I kept telling him, I'm like, Jay, you got to watch the next 2 episodes. And I didn't give it away, but I said, because we have a schedule that we try to keep recording these, so I'm like, get to it. But I wanted you to be rewarded in the sense that while he did admit that he did spoil the fact that he dies, it doesn't mean that he never came back to life, right? Because this is something that, like I was telling Jay, has only ever happened to one other character on this show, which was that the guy that was part of the group without banners or whatever, the men without banners or whatever, that guy that's got the yeah, he's got that. Yeah, it's got the thing across his face like an eye patch kind of, and he by the Lord of the Light, because he actually praised them or whatever. Like he's been brought back like 5 fucking times or something. They had said, right? I mean, we seen the Hound kill him in a fight, like he was dying, and they healed him like right there and then. And Melisandre had actually crossed paths with him in previous seasons when she was actually after Stannis Baratheon's bastard son, if you recall. Like he was part of that group at that time, and she came around looking for him because remember they were going to sacrifice him. So that was a time where she actually came across that guy at that time, and I can't remember his fucking name, but like he came back to so it had been referenced that there is such a thing possible on the show. Now there was theories going around at the time when this originally had happened, that there was theories even going into this season that I had heard that people thought that he was going to be brought back to life somehow. But I never made the connection of how that was going to happen, even with them having Melisandre there, even knowing that magic exists in this world. That's the thing. We sometimes forget the amazing things that exist in this show. But I like that they don't oversell it to the point where like they don't overdo it where like they're bringing every fucking guy back to life, like, you know what I mean, like, or else they would lose all meaning. The fact that they chose to bring this character back, I thought
Yeah.
this was the perfect person to bring back and surprise us with, honestly, because like
I
honestly, and that's not to say he doesn't die again. We don't know, right? I'm not going to spoil
Yeah,
anything for
but
you,
but
but you know,
I also think that there. I thought something was up. Like I thought something was fishy because like you know her, right? And
yes,
in that sense, right? I had a feeling with that part, right? Because of the ghosts and all that shit. I didn't know what kind of powers 100% she had, and
yeah,
and and second, I mean, he was probably the one that they kept the body around the longest, besides those
yes,
people that Arya's washing
yeah,
in that sense, right? But he's the one they kept around the longest, and I was kind of wondering why. And they didn't even reference it last episode, so I was like, okay, there's something up. I'm just nervous, like I don't know what the fuck. And then I was worried that the next episode wasn't going to tell me right away,
right.
and it was just going to leave me at that cliffhanger.
Even the way that they did it, how they shot this scene, they literally waited to the last second for him to open up his eyes, and you kind of almost lost hope at the end here. Even me knowing what happens, I was like, wow, they really fucking drew this out, right? Like
Well,
even like to the
They all walked out. Tormund
all
walked
of them,
away. They
all
didn't
of them.
even know.
The only thing that indicated that he was possibly alive was when Ghost started stirring a little bit, right? The Ghost kind of got up and he's kind of like moving
He
around a
woke
little
up.
bit.
Yeah.
Looks, yeah, he was reacting to something, which was John opening his fucking eyes at the end there. But I just love how they did the shot. They did an upward shot of them panning away. And then all of a sudden, or zooming in, like I guess on the eye, yeah. And then he just woke up at the end, and then it's fade to black, right? I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like I
Yeah,
loved it.
and then yeah, fade to
It
black.
still holds
Fucking
up. Yeah,
bullshit, bro.
it still held up. It still held up for me, honestly. This scene of him coming back to life, and I was still really fucking happy, even knowing that that was about to happen, that it actually happened, because I was just like, thank God this is a character that they chose to do, because we lost a lot of great characters along the way. Maybe not everyone we loved. There's a lot of people that we hated, as well, but it had great deaths. But this was unwarranted what happened to him, right? Like it's fucked up how they killed him. They definitely it's nice to see that they brought him back to life, right? So
He was trying. Yeah, he was trying to keep peace, and that's why they killed him. To be honest with you, he
yeah,
was really trying to keep peace and save everybody's life. And they
yeah,
go and kill him. But that's the sad part. But the thing was the hovering, and she really thought, she was really trying. I noticed that she was really putting her effort into what she was doing, and she was
yeah,
thinking that I think she was even second guessing herself too as well at the
yeah,
end, right? Like she took, can I really even do it? And the
yeah,
next thing you know, right, like the last scene, man, like literally the last fucking thing before the credits, bro. I
yeah,
even
yeah.
wrote, "What the fuck is this shit again? Is he alive?" I even wrote.
I know,
I
I know.
like. I think every end of the episode I've watched of Game of Thrones on my book, it says, "What the fuck."
I know, because it keeps you guessing, man. It's crazy.
That's what I mean. You guys must have
So
sucked for you guys, really.
yeah, but that's what made it interesting too. Believe me, it's been fun revisiting in this sense. So yeah, here's the scene. Davos visits Melisandre here at the end here, who has donned her normal glamour. She's not looking old in this scene anymore, but is still gripped by
Yeah,
she's still gripped by a crisis of faith. And he gives a great speech, great Davos speech here. Like
of
for a
course.
man who once hated on this woman and her black magic type shit, and the fact that she steered Stannis down a dark path. Like he really didn't like this woman, but he kind of came to her in this moment saying like, just tell me, can you do it? Can you bring this man back to life? And she's just like, I don't know. Like, I thought I could, but I've just been so wrong about things lately. You know what I mean? She's kind of like doesn't believe
Proud
in
of yourself.
herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, even her, like even she left the room after she had conducted this thing to bring him back to life, thinking that all hope was lost, right? I think Tormund was the last one to leave, right? If I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
or was it Davos? I think Tormund was.
Davos,
No, no,
Davos,
no,
Davos.
Davos may have was, because I think Tormund stormed out because he got pissed and told her off. He's just like, oh, fucking bullshit or
Fucking
whatever. He
bullshit. Yeah,
left, right?
that way
Yeah.
he is. Yeah.
But anyways, when he asks her if reviving John is possible, she admits to having seen it done, but insists that she cannot do it, having lost faith in the Lord of Light due to the failure of her predictions regarding Stannis Baratheon to come true. After Davos implores her simply to try,
He knows
she,
she's capable. He says, he
yeah,
basically told her in that sentence, in that paragraph, like you're saying.
yeah, she agrees finally.
Yeah.
But a great speech, great speech.
Yeah.
After washing John's wounds clean and burning his hair, she attempts to revive him using murmured high Valerian incantations, but it seems they have no effect. After a moment, Tormund leaves and Melisandre offers a final please in the common tongue, but leaves the room despondent. Ed and finally Davos follow her a moment later. Once the room is empty, however, Ghost, who has been sleeping underneath the table upon which John was lying, perks up, and John suddenly awakens, gasping for air. And yeah, he is back, guys. John is back in the
Well, we
mix.
don't
There
know. It
you
went
go.
black. It
He's
went
back.
black, and nobody knows either, because he's in the room now by himself with the dog. That's it.
He's
He's gonna
back. He's
walk
back.
out fully clothed, bro. Badass. Like he's gonna start. I want to see what kind of power he has now, or something. Or is he gonna look like a 400-year-old person underneath his cape?
You think he's gonna be like fucking the mountain over there now, like a Walking Dead
No.
type guy?
I feel like now he's not gonna be able to die or whatever, and then he's gonna turn into like a Melisandre, and he has to wear like a suit or a necklace or some shit on him to keep him from aging. I don't know. Who knows, bro? I
We'll
don't know.
see.
This fucking show is taking you in circles and around again and back and forth, and I have no fucking.
It's keeping you guessing, keeping it interesting, Jay. It's great. It's good
It's
stuff.
keeping me writing. That's what it is. It's keeping my penmanship good.
Yeah, there you go.
So
So there you have it, guys. That's gonna do it for this episode. Home Game of Thrones season 6, episode 2, and episode 52 of Watching the Throne on the Late Night Chat Network here. Make sure to like and subscribe as always. And yeah, we just keep pumping these out, and they drop every Thursday at 8 p.m. guys. And yeah, I hope you've been enjoying this. And as Jay mentioned last episode, thank you to everybody who does continue to come back and check these episodes out. Our ratings have been really good with these ones. And you keep watching them. We'll keep doing them. Honestly, I'm looking forward to continuing. And we should be getting on some more guests as well, hopefully later throughout the season and leading into the finale, of course. And then you got House of Dragon to look forward to this next summer, hopefully, if it comes out on time. So yeah, it'll be really good.
That's gonna be one of those ones where people are gonna be like, "We waited 2 years for this shit." Right? Yeah, I thought
Possibly.
about that. Like if you get the way you guys talk about the ending for this, like I can understand why for an ending, but we're not gonna get an ending. We're gonna get a continuation, right? So hopefully,
No,
it's crappy. I think it'll play out properly.
I would look forward to it either way, but I think like even like the fact that we've been able to do this show now going into the second season of House of the Dragon, I'm gonna be even more hype up than I would be previous to that. You know what I mean? Like the fact that we've been doing this show now, I'm very much looking forward to that now, just because I feel like I'm gonna have a much more better sense of things now that I've rewatched all of Game of Thrones going into House of the Dragon, right? And just to be able to sit here and pick apart scene by scene every episode, and then we're gonna do the same thing for the first season of House of the Dragon, guys. Yeah, it'll be interesting to go into that second season now. Much more knowledgeable, I feel like, than I was rewatching that. I was watching the first season the first time around, right? So
For sure.
yeah,
Right?
so
I can understand some stuff, son. Well, I mean, I didn't really need to, but I mean, yeah, in a sense, you kind of needed to, right?
yeah.
So
yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode, guys. The next episode is season 6, episode 3, Oath Breaker. This episode, if you remember, it was Oath Keeper, which was Brienne's sword.
Yeah, I know. I said that to you the last time. It was confusing me.
Yeah. So now this is Oath Breaker. So yeah, very interesting, and look forward to that one as always. Jay, always a good time. Make sure you like and subscribe, everybody. And hopefully, like I said, the
Now
audio
I'm
has been
scared,
good.
actually. Hold on. You know what? Now that you say oath breaker, she had just taken her oath with Sansa there.
She has.
Okay. Now, if she breaks it, does that mean Sansa dies?
We'll see you guys next time, everybody. I'll leave you on that note. I don't know, Jay. I guess we'll have to
That
see.
was a good
You know,
question to come right at the end, bro. Holy fuck.
you know me. I'm very tight-lipped. I wouldn't tell you even if I did know.
Now I'm confused, guys. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time. Later, everybody.